sky's the limit now for
When Nick Emmanwori signed with South Carolina in December of 2021, he was rated as a 3-star prospect. But Irmo head football coach Aaron Brand says Nick was actually a 5-star package waiting to be unleashed.
When he arrived at Irmo, he got here a year before I did. We got Nick at the end of his freshman year. He was hard-headed, as most freshmen are. But, you know, the reason Nick only had 3 stars by his name at the time, it was COVID. So we didn't get a chance to get Nick out and show him off like we get a chance to do a lot of these other guys. So, you know, Nick's a 5-star athlete that, you know, that got to a place that he really excelled at and he could call home but let's not make any mistake about it. Nick definitely was a 5-star player that just ended up with 3 or 4 stars at the end of the day.
Well, when Nick arrived at South Carolina, he made an instant impact in the secondary, much like he is doing now as a rookie for the Seattle Seahawks, who chose Nick with the 35th overall pick in last year's NFL draft, a very early second-round selection, but that pick was not made without extensive research into Nick's background.
The one thing, Seahawks did a lot of background, and the Ravens and the Commanders also. You know, the Ravens wanted to know, you know, how they could get in touch with Nick's librarian, how they could get in touch with his elementary school teachers, how he did in the cafeteria. There were just so many questions that came up, and when all these guys were emailing, calling, and sending out information packets on draft prospects, and you know, Nick checked a lot of the boxes in a good way. He was super kind to all the people in the building. He did the stuff the right way, and he was raised the right way.
And Nick has a chance to win a Super Bowl in his very first season, a feat that many Hall of Famers have not accomplished. It would also be a chance for Irmo to celebrate its first Super Bowl champion on record.
You know, he's the guy that'll tell you before all this started that this was the plan the whole time. You know, Nick knew that he was destined for greatness. He had a chip on his shoulder because of the position he was drafted in, so to speak. You know, I didn't think it was right, but I knew that once he got in and wherever they decided to pick him at, that he was going to make his presence felt early and obviously often. So cheers and hats off to Nick. He did what he said he was going to do. And if you guys will remember, you know, he's the same guy that called out Clemson, you know, right when he committed to South Carolina. And he's just a man of his word, and just, you know, what, especially his actions speak a lot louder than his words. And his actions with the Seahawks this year have really helped that team excel.